For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of June 16, 2012, three adventurous college students, 20-year-old Kevin Hartman, 19-year-old Alyssa Gordon, and 19-year-old Preston Gill, left for a backpacking trip in Yosemite National Park, California. They never arrived at their designated pickup point. Despite an extensive search involving park rangers, helicopters, and search dogs, the trio vanished without a trace. For 11 agonizing years, their families lived with unbearable uncertainty, clinging to hope while fearing the worst. Then, in the spring of 2023, a group of hikers stumbled upon a chilling discovery near the Merced River, a collapsed tent buried in silt. Inside, they found a blood-stained shirt and a torn journal entry containing a single, terrifying sentence: "We are being chased by men." This is the complete investigation into what happened to Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Kevin Hartman, a charismatic 20-year-old with a passion for photography, dreamed of capturing the world's beauty through his lens. Alyssa Gordon, 19, possessed an infectious laugh and a boundless energy that drew people to her. Preston Gill, also 19, was the quiet observer of the group, a talented artist who found solace in the wilderness. Bound by a shared love of adventure, the three college friends, inseparable since childhood, planned an unforgettable backpacking trip into the heart of Yosemite National Park. Their destination, a remote area along the Merced River, promising breathtaking views and a chance to escape the pressures of their young lives. Home videos show the trio packing their gear, their faces alight with anticipation. Photographs capture their youthful exuberance, frozen moments of laughter and camaraderie that would soon become cherished memories. They meticulously charted their route, a challenging but rewarding trek through Yosemite's rugged backcountry. Their plan included a designated pickup point, a prearranged meeting with Kevin's father, Lawrence, after their three-day excursion. On the morning of July 12, 2012, they embarked on their journey, full of life and brimming with excitement. They maintained sporadic contact with family during the first day, sending brief text messages describing the stunning scenery and their progress. But by the evening of July 14th, the expected communication ceased. Lawrence Hartman arrived at the designated pickup point, but his son and his friends were nowhere to be found. He waited, growing increasingly uneasy as the hours ticked by. Darkness fell, bringing with it a chilling premonition. He contacted park rangers, initiating what would become a massive search effort. Park rangers launched a search and rescue operation, deploying teams on foot and by helicopter to scour the vast wilderness. Friends and family joined the search, desperately clinging to hope. Days turned into weeks, the initial optimism slowly giving way to a gnawing fear. Interviews with family members reveal the agonizing uncertainty, the sleepless nights punctuated by frantic phone calls and desperate pleas for information. The search continued, but the rugged terrain, dense forests, and fast-flowing rivers hampered the efforts. As the weeks wore on, the search teams faced the grim reality of diminishing returns. With no sign of the missing students, the official search was eventually called off, leaving the families in a tormenting limbo of unanswered questions and fading hope. The initial investigation into the disappearance of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston began immediately. Park rangers meticulously documented the students' planned route, studying maps, interviewing fellow hikers, and analyzing the few clues left behind. Search and rescue teams combed the area surrounding their intended path, facing the daunting challenge of Yosemite's vast and unforgiving landscape. The park's steep cliffs, dense forests, and treacherous river currents made the search a painstakingly slow and dangerous process. Experienced trackers attempted to follow any signs of the missing trio, but the wilderness yielded little. Ranger Jacqueline Pruitt, a seasoned veteran of the Park Service, joined the investigation early on. Her intimate knowledge of Yosemite's backcountry proved invaluable, yet even she was baffled by the lack of any trace of the students. Investigators explored several theories. Accident was a primary consideration: a fall from a cliff, a misstep near the swift-moving Merced River, or a sudden illness in the remote wilderness. Wildlife attacks were also considered, although there was no evidence of any predator activity in the area. The possibility of a voluntary disappearance was also examined, but friends and family vehemently dismissed this notion, insisting it was completely out of character for the close-knit group. Investigators interviewed friends, family, and classmates, piecing together a picture of the students' lives, personalities, and relationships. They sought any indication of trouble, any reason why they might have deviated from their planned route, or any suggestion of foul play. However, the interviews yielded no red flags, painting a consistent portrait of three responsible, adventurous young people eager to explore the wilderness. The limited physical evidence further complicated the investigation. The students' vehicle remained undisturbed at the trailhead, containing their packed lunches and other belongings they intended to retrieve upon their return. No discarded gear or personal items were found along their intended route. The lack of any concrete leads left investigators frustrated and the families in agonizing suspense. As days turned into weeks, the initial sense of urgency gradually gave way to a grim acceptance that the case might remain unsolved. The sheer scale of Yosemite National Park, combined with the unpredictable nature of the wilderness, made the prospect of finding the missing students increasingly remote. The initial investigation, despite the tireless efforts of park rangers and the unwavering hope of their families, ultimately yielded no answers, leaving the fate of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston shrouded in mystery. Years passed, seasons changed, and the vibrant green of Yosemite's summers gave way to the stark white of winter snows, then back again, in a relentless cycle that mirrored the unchanging grief of the families left behind. The initial flurry of media attention surrounding the disappearance of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston gradually subsided, replaced by a chilling silence that echoed the lack of answers. Hope, once a bright flame, dwindled to a flickering ember, sustained only by the unwavering love of their families and the dedication of Ranger Pruitt, who refused to let the case fade from memory. The Hartman, Gordon, and Gill families navigated a new reality, a world permanently altered by the absence of their children. Birthdays and holidays, once occasions of joy and celebration, became painful reminders of their loss. They learned to live with the gnawing uncertainty, the unanswered questions that haunted their every waking moment. They clung to memories, photographs, and home videos, desperately trying to preserve the vibrant images of their children as they were, forever young and full of promise. The case remained open, but active investigation slowed to a trickle. Periodically, new leads would emerge, whispers of sightings or rumors of similar disappearances in other national parks. Each time, Ranger Pruitt and her team would diligently follow up, only to be met with disappointment. The vastness of Yosemite, its hidden canyons and dense forests, seemed to hold its secrets close. Journalists who had initially covered the story revisited the case on anniversaries, chronicling the ongoing anguish of the families and the enduring mystery of the vanished students. The public, captivated by the tragic story, offered theories and speculation, but concrete information remained elusive. The case became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wilderness and the fragility of life. Some speculated about the existence of a hidden community within the park, perhaps individuals living off the grid who might have encountered the students. Others pointed to the dangers of wildlife, despite the lack of evidence. Still others whispered about the possibility of a serial killer operating in the area, preying on unsuspecting hikers. None of these theories, however, could be substantiated. There were indeed other missing person cases in Yosemite's history, some dating back decades. Ranger Pruitt and her team reviewed these cold cases, searching for any similarities, any patterns that might connect them to the disappearance of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston. While some cases shared superficial similarities, such as the victim's age or the general location of their disappearance, none offered any concrete links. Each case remained a separate tragedy, a testament to the unforgiving nature of the wilderness and the challenges of searching for missing persons in such a vast and rugged landscape. As the years wore on, a sense of resignation began to settle over the investigation. The families, though still hopeful, had to confront the agonizing possibility that they might never know what happened to their children. The case, once a symbol of hope and determination, seemed destined to join the ranks of other unsolved mysteries, a chilling reminder of the unanswered questions that haunt the wilderness. 11 years had passed since Kevin Hartman, Alyssa Gordon, and Preston Gill vanished into the vast wilderness of Yosemite National Park. The case had grown cold, the initial flurry of searches and investigations yielding no answers, leaving their families trapped in a perpetual state of agonizing uncertainty. Then, on a crisp autumn afternoon in 2023, a group of hikers stumbled upon a scene that would shatter the silence and reignite the search for the missing students. The hikers, experienced backpackers familiar with the park's rugged terrain, were exploring a remote area along the Merced River, several miles off the established trails. They were drawn to a peculiar depression in the ground, partially obscured by overgrown vegetation and accumulated silt. As they approached, they realized they had found a collapsed tent, half buried by years of accumulated debris. The tent, a faded blue and gray, was torn in several places, its once waterproof fabric now brittle and decaying. Cautiously, the hikers peered inside. The interior was a time capsule of a tragedy long past. Among the remnants of sleeping bags, cooking utensils, and other backpacking gear, they discovered a blood-stained shirt, its crimson stains a stark contrast to the muted colors of the surrounding debris. Lying near the shirt was a small, water-damaged journal, its pages warped and barely legible. One page, torn and partially preserved, contained a chilling fragment of a sentence: "We are being chased by men." The hikers, shaken by their discovery, immediately contacted park authorities. Photographs taken at the scene document the tent's dilapidated state, its location nestled among the riverbank's willows and cottonwoods, and the chilling contents within. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small community of park rangers and investigators who had worked tirelessly on the case 11 years earlier. Ranger Jacqueline Pruitt, now a seasoned veteran with decades of experience, felt a surge of both hope and dread as she received the news. The blood-stained shirt and the cryptic journal entry offered the first tangible clues in over a decade, finally providing a potential direction for the investigation. The reopening of the case injected a renewed sense of urgency into the Park Service. The area surrounding the discovered tent was immediately secured, becoming a focal point for a new wave of investigative activity. Forensic teams meticulously documented the scene, carefully collecting the tent, the blood-stained shirt, the journal, and any other potential evidence. The blood-stained shirt was rushed to a state-of-the-art forensic laboratory for DNA analysis. Experts worked to extract a viable DNA profile from the aged bloodstains, hoping to confirm whether it belonged to one of the missing students. The torn journal fragment, carefully preserved and treated by document specialists, became a central piece of the puzzle. The cryptic message, "We are being chased by men," shifted the focus of the investigation from accidental causes, such as falls or animal attacks, to the possibility of foul play. The journal entry suggested that the students had encountered someone in the wilderness, someone who posed a threat. This new information cast a dark shadow over the previously held theories, opening up a chilling new chapter in the search for answers. The discovery of the tent, with its grim contents, marked a turning point in the case. It breathed new life into an investigation that had long gone cold, offering a glimmer of hope for the families who had endured 11 years of unanswered questions. The cryptic message in the journal, though fragmented and incomplete, provided the first real clue to the students' fate, hinting at a sinister encounter in the remote wilderness of Yosemite National Park. The renewed investigation into the disappearance of Kevin Hartman, Alyssa Gordon, and Preston Gill began with a renewed intensity, fueled by the discovery of the tent and its chilling contents. The fragmented journal entry, with its cryptic message of pursuit, became the central focus. Forensic scientists meticulously analyzed the blood-stained shirt, employing advanced DNA technology to extract a profile from the degraded blood. The results confirmed the worst fears: the blood belonged to Kevin Hartman. This grim confirmation solidified the theory of foul play and shifted the investigation towards identifying the men mentioned in the journal. Investigators revisited the initial interviews conducted in 2012, searching for any mention of individuals the students might have encountered during their trip. They reviewed park records, looking for any reports of suspicious activity in the area around the Merced River during the time of the disappearance. One name surfaced repeatedly in connection with the missing students: Marcus Weller. Weller, a local wilderness guide, had been known to lead hikers into remote areas of Yosemite, often venturing off the established trails. He had reportedly contacted the students a few weeks before their trip, offering his services as a guide. The students, eager to explore the park's hidden gems, had initially considered Weller's offer but ultimately decided to embark on their journey independently. Lawrence Hartman, Kevin's father, recalled meeting Weller briefly during the weeks leading up to the trip. He remembered Weller as a charismatic and knowledgeable outdoorsman, seemingly trustworthy and passionate about sharing the beauty of Yosemite with others. He had seemed genuinely interested in helping the students plan their route, offering advice and suggestions based on his extensive experience in the park. At the time, Lawrence had no reason to suspect Weller of any wrongdoing, dismissing him as a harmless, albeit somewhat eccentric, local character. Investigators tracked down Marcus Weller, who was still living in the area. He initially denied any involvement in the students' disappearance, claiming he had only briefly interacted with them during the planning stages of their trip. He maintained that he had not seen or heard from them since they embarked on their journey. However, inconsistencies in his story, coupled with the newly discovered evidence, raised red flags for the investigators. They pressed Weller further, questioning him about his whereabouts during the crucial days of July 2012. They also inquired about his knowledge of the remote area where the tent was discovered, an area known to be frequented by illegal marijuana growers. As the interrogation intensified, Weller's composure began to crumble. He eventually admitted to leading the students into an area known to be controlled by illegal growers, claiming he had inadvertently stumbled upon their operation while guiding the students through the backcountry. He claimed the growers, mistaking the students for thieves or rivals, had confronted them aggressively. A confrontation ensued, during which Preston Gill, in a desperate attempt to escape, slashed the tent with a knife. The growers, fearing exposure, reacted violently, shooting all 3 students. Weller, terrified for his own life, claimed he had been forced to help the growers dispose of the bodies, burying them in shallow graves near the river. He claimed he had lived in fear for the past 11 years, haunted by the events of that day and the knowledge of his complicity in the cover-up. The interrogation of Marcus Weller stretched late into the night, the sterile environment of the interview room a stark contrast to the wild beauty of Yosemite, the place where the tragic events he described had unfolded. Weller, initially evasive and defensive, gradually began to unravel under the persistent questioning of the investigators. He shifted nervously in his chair, his gaze darting around the room, avoiding direct eye contact. His voice, at first confident and assertive, became hesitant and strained, punctuated by long pauses and nervous fidgeting. He recounted the events of that fateful day in July 2012, his narrative fragmented and often contradictory. He described leading the students deep into the backcountry, venturing off the established trails and into an area he claimed he was unfamiliar with. He insisted his intention had been to show them a hidden waterfall, a secret gem known only to a select few. He claimed he had stumbled upon the illegal marijuana grow operation by accident, surprising the growers who were tending to their crops. He described the growers as armed and hostile, immediately suspicious of the students' presence. They accused the students of being spies or thieves, sent by rival growers to steal their harvest. Weller claimed he tried to defuse the situation, explaining that the students were simply lost hikers, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. The growers, fueled by paranoia and fear, became increasingly agitated. A tense standoff ensued, the air thick with suspicion and the unspoken threat of violence. Weller's account of the confrontation was punctuated by long silences, his voice barely a whisper as he relived the horrifying moments. He described Preston Gill, sensing the imminent danger, slashing the tent with a knife, creating a diversion in a desperate attempt to escape. The sudden act of defiance shattered the tense silence, triggering a violent reaction from the growers. Gunshots echoed through the wilderness, the sharp reports followed by the chilling screams of the students. Weller claimed he watched in horror as Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston fell to the ground, their youthful exuberance extinguished in a hail of gunfire. He insisted he had been powerless to intervene, frozen by fear as the growers turned their attention to him, threatening him with the same fate if he dared to interfere or reveal what he had witnessed. He described the growers forcing him to help them dispose of the bodies, digging shallow graves in the soft earth near the riverbank. He claimed he had complied out of sheer terror, his mind numb with shock and disbelief. He helped them bury the students, their lifeless bodies a stark contrast to the vibrant wilderness that had once been their playground. He then led the growers back to his vehicle, abandoning the students' belongings at the trailhead to create the illusion that they had continued their journey. For 11 years, Weller claimed, he had lived with the crushing weight of his secret, haunted by the images of that day and the knowledge of his complicity in the cover-up. He claimed he had been too afraid to come forward, fearing retribution from the growers, who he believed were still operating in the area. As dawn broke, Weller agreed to lead authorities to the burial site. He guided them through the dense undergrowth, his steps hesitant and uncertain, as if retracing the steps of a ghost. He led them to a secluded area along the Merced River, a place hidden from the established trails, a place where the earth held the secrets of a tragedy long past. Dr. Nicole Carey, a renowned forensic anthropologist, joined the team at the site. With meticulous care, she and her team began the painstaking process of excavating the shallow graves. The recovery of the remains was a somber and emotional process, a stark reminder of the lives lost and the years of unanswered questions. Dr. Carey worked tirelessly, carefully examining the skeletal remains, piecing together the fragments of a story that had been silenced for over a decade. She confirmed the identities of the victims through dental records and other identifying markers, bringing a sense of closure to the families who had waited so long for answers. The emotional impact of the discovery resonated deeply with everyone involved in the investigation. Ranger Pruitt, who had dedicated years of her life to the case, felt a mix of relief and sadness. The families, finally reunited with the remains of their loved ones, experienced a complex wave of emotions: grief, closure, and a renewed sense of loss. The breakthrough in the case, though bittersweet, brought an end to the years of uncertainty, finally revealing the tragic fate of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston. The recovery of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston's remains from the shallow graves near the Merced River brought a somber closure to a tragedy that had haunted their families for 11 years. The scene was one of quiet dignity, the hushed whispers of investigators and the gentle clinking of trowels against earth, a stark contrast to the violent events that had taken place there years before. The families present at the site stood together, their grief palpable, their faces etched with a mixture of sorrow and relief. The recovery marked the beginning of their long-awaited journey towards healing and remembrance. The remains were transported to the county coroner's office, where Dr. Carey continued her meticulous examination. She confirmed the cause of death as gunshot wounds, consistent with Weller's confession. Her analysis also revealed details about the students' final moments, providing a heartbreaking glimpse into the terror they must have experienced. The confirmation of their identities, though a formality, brought a sense of finality to the families, allowing them to begin the process of grieving and honoring their loved ones. The recovery of personal effects, including Kevin's camera, Alyssa's necklace, and Preston's sketchbook, offered tangible reminders of their children's passions and personalities, further solidifying their presence in the memories of those who loved them. Marcus Weller's trial was a somber affair, the courtroom filled with the heavy weight of grief and the echoes of a tragedy that had reverberated through the community for over a decade. Weller, his face pale and drawn, pled guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact to murder. He offered a tearful apology to the families, expressing remorse for his actions and the pain he had caused. The prosecution detailed the events leading up to the students' deaths, emphasizing Weller's role in leading them into harm's way and his subsequent complicity in covering up the crime. The defense argued that Weller had acted out of fear for his own life, coerced by the dangerous individuals who had committed the murders. The judge, acknowledging the complexities of the case and Weller's cooperation in leading authorities to the burial site, sentenced him to a substantial prison term. While the sentence brought a sense of justice, it could not fully erase the pain and loss endured by the families. The tragic case of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston had a profound impact on Yosemite National Park and the surrounding community. The incident highlighted the inherent dangers of venturing into remote wilderness areas, particularly those known to be frequented by illegal activities. Park officials implemented increased patrols in the backcountry, focusing on areas known for illegal marijuana cultivation. They also strengthened public awareness campaigns, emphasizing the importance of staying on established trails, informing someone of your hiking plans, and carrying appropriate safety equipment. The case also prompted a review of park regulations regarding wilderness guides, leading to stricter licensing requirements and background checks for those operating within the park. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of the need for vigilance and caution when exploring the wilderness, even in a place as seemingly pristine and protected as Yosemite National Park. The legacy of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston lived on in the hearts of those who loved them. Their families established a memorial scholarship fund in their names, supporting aspiring photographers, artists, and adventurers. Their story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. Their disappearance and the subsequent discovery of their remains served as a testament to the enduring power of hope, the unwavering dedication of law enforcement, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable loss. 11 years after their disappearance, the families of Kevin, Alyssa, and Preston finally found a measure of peace. The recovery of their remains, the prosecution of Marcus Weller, and the enduring legacy of their children's lives brought a sense of closure to a chapter filled with pain and uncertainty. In interviews conducted years after the resolution of the case, the families spoke of their enduring grief, the profound impact of their loss, and the slow process of healing. They shared memories of their children's vibrant personalities, their infectious laughter, their shared dreams, and their unwavering love for the wilderness. They spoke of the importance of never giving up hope, even in the darkest of times, and the enduring power of love and memory to transcend even the most tragic of circumstances. They remembered Kevin's passion for capturing the beauty of the world through his lens, Alyssa's infectious energy and boundless enthusiasm, and Preston's quiet strength and artistic talent. Their memories, preserved in photographs, home videos, and the hearts of those who loved them, ensured that their spirits would forever live on, intertwined with the majestic landscape of Yosemite National Park, the place they had so cherished in life.